I remember standing in that hotel ballroom, watching my wife laugh with her colleagues, and feeling something I had never felt before in our 5 years of marriage. It was not jealousy. It was not insecurity. It was the slow, creeping realization that the woman I loved had started seeing me as less than. The chandelier lights sparkled above us, the jazz band played softly in the corner, and I stood there in my rented tuxedo, wondering when exactly I had become someone she was ashamed of. That night changed everything. Before I tell you what happened at that party, drop a comment and let me know where you are watching from. If you have ever felt undervalued by someone you loved, hit that like button and subscribe, because what I am about to share will show you how one moment can reveal who truly values you and who has been taking you for granted all along. Amanda and I met in college. She was studying communications, and I was deep into my engineering program. We were different, but that was what made it work. She brought creativity and spontaneity into my structured world. I grounded her when her ideas got too scattered. After graduation, I landed a job as a civil engineer with a construction firm, and she started at an entry-level position in a marketing agency downtown. We got married 2 years later in a small ceremony at her parents' house, just family and close friends. Nothing fancy, but it was perfect. My job was hands-on. I spent my days at construction sites wearing a hard hat and steel-toed boots, reviewing blueprints, coordinating with contractors, making sure bridges and roads got built safely and on schedule. It was not glamorous. I came home with dirt under my nails and concrete dust on my jeans. But I loved it. There was something deeply satisfying about building infrastructure that thousands of people would use every single day. When I drove across a bridge I had helped design, knowing it was solid and safe, that meant something to me. Amanda's career took off faster than mine. Within 3 years, she had moved from a junior role to a senior account manager position at a tech company. Her office was all glass walls and standing desks, free coffee bars and ping-pong tables. She wore blazers and heels every day. She talked about campaigns and client retention and quarterly projections. We used to joke about how different our worlds were. On Sunday evenings, we would cook dinner together, and she would tell me about some dramatic office situation, while I told her about a concrete pour that went wrong, or a permit issue we had to navigate. We laughed. We connected. We were a team. I was genuinely proud of her success. When she got promoted to marketing manager about 6 months before that party, I took her out to her favorite restaurant to celebrate. I stayed up late helping her prep for presentations. I never once felt threatened by the fact that she was climbing the corporate ladder faster than I was. Different industries, different timelines. That was what I told myself. But something shifted after that promotion. It was subtle at first. Amanda started using phrases I had never heard her say before. She talked about company culture, and high performers, and executive mindset. She would come home from work and mention someone's name with a tone that suggested I should know who they were, even though I had never met them. She started going to more after-work events, networking dinners, team-building activities. I understood. That was part of her world now. The comments started small. One evening I came home directly from a site inspection still in my work clothes. Amanda looked at me and said, "You are not going to sit on the couch like that, are you?" I looked down. My jeans were dusty, my boots caked with dried mud. I had been planning to change, but her tone caught me off guard. It was not concern. It was distaste. Another time I was telling her about a project I was excited about, a pedestrian bridge that would connect 2 neighborhoods and make it safer for kids to walk to school. I was explaining the design challenges, the weight distribution, the materials we were using. She was scrolling through her phone. That is nice," she murmured without looking up. When I stopped talking, she did not even notice. The worst part was how she started introducing me to new people. We ran into one of her colleagues at a coffee shop one Saturday morning. Amanda lit up, hugged the woman, then turned to me. "This is my husband Colby. He is in construction." The way she said construction, like she was apologizing for it, like it was something to be embarrassed about. Her colleague smiled politely and asked what I did. Before I could answer, Amanda cut in. "He is an engineer, but you know field work mostly." Like she needed to clarify that I was not just some guy swinging a hammer. I started noticing how she looked at me when I talked about my job. There was a distance in her eyes, like she was already thinking about something else. I told myself she was just stressed. New responsibilities, higher expectations, more pressure. It would pass. Then came the invitation to her company's annual gala. It was a Thursday evening about 2 weeks before the event. Amanda came home later than usual and dropped her bag on the kitchen counter with a heavy sigh. I was making dinner chicken stir-fry, one of our regular weeknight meals. Big day, I asked. Exhausting, she said, pouring herself a glass of wine. But listen, I need to tell you something. The company gala is in 2 weeks. Black tie. I need you to come with me. I turned from the stove. Amanda had been with this company for 3 years, and she had never invited me to any of their events before. Really? That is great. I would love to. She took a long sip of wine. It is important, Colby. All the executives bring their spouses. It is about image. That word, image. It landed between us like a stone. I will rent a tux, I said, trying to sound enthusiastic. It will be fun. Amanda looked at me, and for a moment something flickered across her face. Doubt, maybe. Or worry. Just try to look sophisticated. You know what I mean. Not like you just came from a construction site. I felt the sting but swallowed it down. I know how to clean up. I am sure you do. I just mean this is a big deal for me. I need us to make a good impression. Us. Or me not embarrassing you. I did not say that out loud. Instead, I nodded and went back to stirring the vegetables, my appetite suddenly gone. The next day, I went to a formal wear shop and rented a tuxedo. The guy helping me was friendly, cracking jokes about penguin suits and James Bond. I tried to laugh along, but my mind was somewhere else. That night, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, practicing how to tie a bow tie. I watched tutorial videos on my phone. I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted Amanda to look at me and feel proud the way I always felt about her. The night before the gala, I bought Amanda a bouquet of white roses, her favorite. When I gave them to her, she smiled, but it did not quite reach her eyes. Thank you. That is sweet. Just remember, tomorrow we need to make a good impression. There it was again. We. But it felt like she meant I. The gala was held at the Grand Sheraton downtown, one of those old hotels with marble floors and gold-trimmed everything. We pulled up to the valet stand, and I handed over my keys to a kid who looked about 19. Amanda checked her reflection in her compact mirror one last time before we walked in. She was wearing a black cocktail dress that I had never seen before, probably bought specifically for this event. Her hair was styled in soft waves, her makeup flawless. She looked stunning. She also looked like someone I barely recognized. The ballroom was exactly what I expected. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting warm light over tables draped in white linen. A jazz trio played near the back, soft enough to talk over, but loud enough to fill the space. Men in tuxedos and women in evening gowns stood in clusters holding champagne flutes and laughing at things that probably were not that funny. I took a deep breath and followed Amanda inside. She transformed the moment we crossed the threshold. Her posture straightened, her smile became brighter, more performative. She scanned the room like a predator, looking for targets. Within seconds, she spotted a group of people near the bar and made a beeline toward them, me trailing behind. Amanda, you look amazing. A tall guy in an expensive-looking suit pulled her into a hug. He had slicked back hair and the kind of tan that came from a salon, not the Sunday Travis. So good to see you. Amanda's voice had shifted into what I privately called her work mode. Higher-pitched, more animated, less real. Travis released her and turned to me, extending a hand. His grip was firm to the point of aggressive. You must be the husband. Travis Kellerman, senior sales executive. Colby, I said, matching his grip. Nice to meet you. Colby is in construction, Amanda said quickly before I could elaborate. There it was, the apology in her voice. Oh yeah, that is cool, man. Hard work, right? Travis said it the way people talk to children about their hobbies. I am a civil engineer, I clarified. I design bridges and roadways. Right. Still must be nice working outdoors. Get some fresh air, you know. Travis was already looking past me, scanning the room for someone more interesting. 2 women joined our circle, both carrying cocktails and both greeting Amanda like they were reuniting after years apart instead of probably seeing her yesterday at work. Amanda introduced me with the same half-hearted explanation. This is my husband, Colby. He is in construction. One of the women, a redhead named Stephanie, smiled politely. That must be interesting work. I was about to respond when Amanda cut in. He mostly does field work. You know, on-site stuff. Not really the corporate world. I felt my jaw tighten but kept my expression neutral. The group launched into a conversation about some campaign they were working on, throwing around terms like synergy and brand alignment and customer journey mapping. I tried to follow along, nodding when it seemed appropriate. At one point, Stephanie asked Travis about a particularly difficult client, and Travis launched into a story about how he had closed a 7-figure deal through sheer negotiation prowess. That is the thing about sales, Travis said, leaning back with his drink. It is all about reading people, knowing when to push, when to pull back. It is like mental chess. We deal with negotiations in construction too, I offered. Coordinating between contractors, staying on budget, managing stakeholder expectations. It requires a lot of... Oh yeah, but that is not quite the same level, is it? Travis interrupted, grinning. I mean, we are talking 7-figure contracts here. Enterprise-level stuff. I felt the heat rising in my chest, but kept my voice even. Different industries, different scales. But the principles are similar. Communication problem-solving. Finding common ground. Amanda jumped in before I could say more. Travis is right, though. Corporate negotiations are more complex. It is more mental chess than just hammering out numbers. Hammering out. The choice of words was not accidental. I looked at her, but she would not meet my eyes. She took a long sip of her cocktail, already her second since we had arrived. Stephanie, sensing the awkwardness, asked me about my work. I appreciated the effort, and started telling her about a pedestrian bridge project we were finishing up, how it would connect 2 neighborhoods that had been divided by a busy highway for decades. I was actually excited talking about it. The engineering challenges had been significant, and seeing it come together felt meaningful. Honey, Amanda interrupted, her voice carrying that patronizing edge I had started to dread. They probably do not want to hear about traffic patterns right now. The way she said it. Like I was a child who did not understand social cues. Like I was embarrassing her by being enthusiastic about my work. I stopped mid-sentence. Stephanie looked uncomfortable. Travis smirked into his drink. Amanda drained her glass and immediately flagged down a passing waiter for another. I excused myself to go to the bar, needing a moment alone. I ordered a whiskey neat, and stood there watching Amanda from across the room. She was laughing at something, Travis said, her hand on his arm. She looked happy, relaxed. Everything she was not when she was with me lately. Dinner was announced, and we made our way to our assigned table. This was when things got worse. Our table was near the front of the ballroom, clearly reserved for the higher-ups. Seated with us were Amanda's boss, Richard, his wife, Patricia, and 2 other executives I had not met yet. Richard was probably in his early 50s. Silver hair, sharp eyes behind rimless glasses. He wore a Brooks Brothers suit that fit him perfectly, and carried himself with the kind of quiet confidence that came from decades of leadership. When we sat down, he extended his hand to me immediately. You must be Colby. Richard Hendricks. I have heard good things. His handshake was firm but not performative, his eye contact genuine. Nice to meet you, sir. Please, Richard, is fine. Amanda speaks highly of you. I glanced at Amanda, who was suddenly very interested in her napkin placement. Did she? Because lately it felt like she barely spoke of me at all. Patricia, Richard's wife, was warm and engaging. She asked about my work with genuine interest, and I found myself relaxing as I told her about the bridge project. She asked smart questions about community impact and accessibility, and for the first time that evening I felt like someone actually cared about what I did. Richard leaned in as I was explaining a particularly tricky structural challenge. That sounds complex. What kind of load capacity are you designing for? I explained the calculations, the safety margins we built in the materials we chose, and why. Richard nodded thoughtfully, asking follow-up questions that showed he was actually listening. It felt good. It felt like respect. Then Travis, who was seated 2 chairs down, decided to chime in. Must be nice to work with your hands, Colby. Not everyone can handle the pressure of corporate deadlines and high-stakes presentations. The table went quiet for a beat. Amanda laughed. Actually laughed. Yeah, Colby's job is pretty straightforward. He does not have to deal with office politics or client emergencies at midnight. It is more of a 9-to-5 thing. I felt like I had been slapped. Every job has its pressures, I said quietly. Oh, come on, honey. Amanda's voice was louder now, the alcohol clearly affecting her. Let us be real. You clock in, you clock out. You do not take your work home with you the way I do. You do not lie awake at night worrying about presentations or quarterly numbers. I stared at her. Richard's expression had shifted, his eyes sharp and assessing now. Patricia looked uncomfortable. Travis was trying not to smile. That is not entirely accurate, I said, keeping my voice level even though I wanted to shout. I take responsibility for people's safety. If a bridge fails, people die. The pressure might look different, but it is there. Amanda waved her hand dismissively. I mean, it is fine. Not everyone needs to be ambitious. Someone has to be grounded, right? Grounded. She said it like it meant limited, like it meant small. The conversation moved on, but I could not focus on anything else. I pushed food around my plate, barely tasting it. Richard asked me a few more questions, his tone kind, but I could tell he was also observing Amanda closely. She drank more wine. She got louder. She laughed too hard at Travis's jokes. After dinner, several people stepped out onto the terrace for fresh air and cigars. Amanda insisted we join them. The night air was cool, the city lights spread out below us. Travis was holding court talking about his gym routine and some competition he had done. He flexed. Actually flexed, and made a joke about alpha males in the sales department. Amanda was swaying slightly, her drink sloshing in her glass. "You know what is funny?" she said suddenly, her voice cutting through the conversation. "People have such outdated ideas about masculinity." Everyone turned to look at her. I felt dread pooling in my stomach, like my husband here. She gestured toward me with her glass. "He is great, do not get me wrong. But he is not exactly what you would call traditionally masculine." I could not breathe. Amanda kept going. "He is more the sensitive type, emotional, which is fine, but sometimes I wonder what it would be like to be with someone more assertive, decisive. You know, someone who takes charge." Travis shifted uncomfortably. Richard's jaw tightened. Patricia looked horrified. "I mean, I love him," Amanda continued, oblivious or not caring about the bomb she was dropping. "But let us face it, he is not the kind of guy who commands a room. He is more support staff, you know, support staff." The words hung in the air like poison. I stood there publicly humiliated by the person who was supposed to love me in front of her colleagues, her boss, strangers. My hands were shaking. My face burned. But I did not yell. I did not lash out. I did not give anyone the satisfaction of seeing me break. I set my glass down on the stone railing carefully, deliberately. My voice when I spoke was calm, almost eerily so. "Amanda, I think you have had enough to drink." She laughed, a harsh sound that did not match the woman I married. "Oh, do not be so sensitive, Colby. I am just being honest. Everyone here knows what I mean." I looked around the circle. Travis was staring at his shoes. Patricia had tears in her eyes. Richard's expression was unreadable, but his disappointment was palpable. "I apologize for this," I said to the group. "It has been a long evening." I turned to Amanda. "I am going home. You can catch a ride with someone else, or you can call me when you are ready to talk like adults." Amanda's laugh was cruel. "See? This is exactly what I mean. Cannot even handle a little honesty. Too sensitive." I did not respond. I turned and walked toward the door. My legs felt like lead, but I kept moving. I would not fall apart here. I would not give her that. "Colby, wait a moment." I stopped. Richard had followed me, leaving the terrace behind. We stood in the hallway outside the ballroom, the muffled sounds of the party bleeding through the walls. "I would like to walk you out if that is all right," Richard said. I nodded, not trusting my voice. We walked through the lobby in silence, past the front desk, past clusters of hotel guests in casual clothes laughing and taking selfies. The valet brought my car around. Richard and I stood on the curb, the night air thick and humid. "I am sorry you had to experience that," Richard said finally. "That was completely inappropriate. It is not your fault, I managed. But thank you." "I have been in leadership for 25 years, Richard continued. "You know what I have learned. True strength is not about being loud or dominating a conversation. It is not about how much you can bench press or how aggressively you negotiate. It is about composure under pressure." I looked at him, surprised. "The way you handled yourself tonight," Richard met my eyes. "That took more courage than most people in that room will ever have. You could have made a scene. You could have shouted back, humiliated her the way she humiliated you. But you chose dignity." My throat tightened. "I just do not understand why she would do that." Richard sighed, and for a moment he looked tired. Sometimes, success changes people. Not always for the better. They start measuring their worth by titles and salaries in corner offices. They forget who was there before any of that mattered. Who supported them, believed in them, loved them when they had nothing to prove. He paused, looking out at the city lights. "I had a business partner years ago. Brilliant guy, built an incredible company. But as he climbed higher, he started treating his wife like she was beneath him. She was a teacher, made a fraction of what he did. He would make comments, little digs, always in public. Always when she could not defend herself. One day she left him, took their kids, filed for divorce. He was shocked, could not understand why. He had given her everything, he said. Everything except respect." The valet was waiting by my car, but Richard was not finished. "Can I give you some advice, Colby, man to man?" I nodded. A man who knows his worth does not need to prove it to anyone. You build bridges that thousands of people will use. You create something tangible, real, lasting. That is valuable. That matters. Do not let anyone, especially not someone who is supposed to love you, make you feel less than. He extended his hand. I shook at his grip, firm and sincere. You have my respect, Richard said. I mean that. He leaned in slightly, his voice lower. And between us, Amanda's performance review is coming up in 2 weeks. Tonight showed me something about her character I had not seen before. Professionalism matters even at social events, especially at social events. How we treat people when we think no one important is watching tells you everything you need to know about someone. I understood what he was saying. Amanda had not just humiliated me. She had shown her boss that she lacked judgment, empathy, and professionalism. That would have consequences. Thank you, I said, my voice rough. I appreciate you saying that. Drive safe, Colby. I got in my car and drove home through empty streets. Traffic lights turning green just as I approached them, like the universe was urging me forward. I did not cry. I did not turn on music. I just drove, processing what had happened, what it meant, what came next. When I got home, I took off the tuxedo and hung it carefully, even though I knew I would never wear it again. I sat in the living room in the dark, still wearing the dress shirt and pants, and stared at nothing. My phone buzzed. Amanda. I did not answer. It buzzed again. A text this time. I am sorry. Please pick up. I turned the phone face down on the coffee table. 30 minutes later, I heard a car pull up outside. The front door opened. Amanda walked in her makeup. Smudged mascara streaked down her cheeks. She had been crying. She looked at me sitting there in the dark, and her face crumpled. Colby, I am so sorry. I do not know what came over me. I did not move. You humiliated me in front of your colleagues. You said I was not masculine enough. You called me support staff. I was drunk. I did not mean any of it. Alcohol does not create feelings, Amanda. It just reveals them. She sank onto the couch, her hands shaking. Please do not do this. I made a mistake. I will make it right. Richard walked me out. I said quietly. Your boss. He told me I handled the situation with dignity. He said I showed more courage than most people in that room. Funny how your boss gave me more respect in 5 minutes than you have given me in months. Amanda's face went white. You talked to Richard about what I said. He was there, Amanda. He saw everything. He heard everything. He knows exactly what kind of person you are now. She covered her face with her hands. Oh God. Oh God. This is bad. That is what you are worried about. I stood up, my voice rising for the first time. Not that you destroyed me in front of strangers. Not that you betrayed our marriage. You are worried about your job. That is not what I meant. Get out, I said. What, get out of this room? I cannot look at you right now. Sleep in the guest room. I need space. Amanda started to protest, then saw my face and stopped. She stood slowly, grabbed her purse, and walked down the hall. I heard the guest room door close. I sat back down in the dark and finally let myself feel it. The hurt, the anger, the betrayal. Not just from tonight, but from months of small cuts, tiny dismissals, 1,000 little ways she had made me feel less than. I had ignored them, explained them away, told myself I was being too sensitive. But Richard's words echoed in my head. A man who knows his worth does not need to prove it to anyone. I knew my worth. I had always known it. I had just let Amanda make me forget. The next morning I packed a bag and drove to my brother's place across town. Daniel took one look at my face and pulled me into a hug without asking questions. He set me up in his spare room and gave me space. Amanda called 17 times that first day. I did not answer. She texted constantly, apologies and explanations and promises to change. I turned off my phone. For a week I stayed with Daniel. I went to work, came home, worked out in his garage gym, and thought about who I had been before Amanda, who I had become during our marriage, and who I wanted to be moving forward. I realized I had been making myself smaller to make her feel bigger. I had downplayed my accomplishments so she could shine. I had absorbed her criticisms without pushing back because I did not want to seem insecure. But there is a difference between being secure and being a doormat. Daniel, who had gone through his own divorce 3 years earlier, did not push me to talk. But one night over beers, he said something that stuck. The right person does not make you question your worth. They remind you of it. Amanda kept calling. On day 5, I finally answered. I want to come home, she said immediately. I miss you. I am so sorry. I am not ready yet, I told her. When will you be ready? I do not know. I need time to figure out if I even want to stay in this marriage." She was silent for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was small. "Richard called me into his office yesterday. He expressed concerns about my behavior at the gala. He said I displayed poor judgment and lack of professionalism. I was supposed to get a promotion next quarter. He said that is being reconsidered now." I felt a grim satisfaction but also sadness. "I am sorry that happened." "Are you, though?" The question hung between us. Was I? Part of me wanted her to understand what it felt like to be publicly diminished. Part of me just wanted her to hurt the way I hurt. "I do not want bad things to happen to you, Amanda. I never have. But actions have consequences. You humiliated me because you thought it would make you look good in front of your colleagues. Instead, you showed them who you really are. That is not who I am." "Is it not?" "Because it is who you have been becoming for months." She started crying. "I will do anything. Therapy, counseling, whatever you want. Just please do not give up on us." I closed my eyes. "I will think about it." 2 weeks after the gala, I came home. Not because everything was fixed, but because I needed to face it head on. Amanda had started seeing a therapist. She asked if I would go to couples counseling with her. I agreed. The first session was brutal. The therapist, a woman named Dr. Morrison, did not let Amanda hide behind excuses. She pushed her to examine why she had felt the need to tear me down. Amanda cried through most of it. But she also started to see what she had been doing. How success at work had become tangled up with her self-worth. How she had started viewing me through the lens of corporate culture, measuring my value by salary and status instead of character and love. "I forgot who you were to me," Amanda admitted during our third session. "I forgot that you were the person who believed in me before anyone else did. Who stayed up with me when I was stressed about interviews, who celebrated every promotion, who never once made me feel like I was too much or too ambitious. I started seeing you as someone who was holding me back when really I was the one pulling away." Progress was slow. Some days I wanted to pack my bags and leave for good. Other days I saw glimpses of the woman I married, the one who laughed at my jokes and fell asleep on my shoulder during movies. We were not fixed. We were not back to normal. But we were trying. Amanda cut back on after-work events. She stopped drinking at company functions. She started asking about my projects again, actually listening when I talked about my work. She met me at a job site once wearing sneakers and jeans, and I walked her across the half-finished bridge. She stood in the middle looking out at the view and said, "You built this. You made something that will be here long after we are gone. That is incredible." It was a small moment, but it mattered. Richard never mentioned the gala to me directly, but he and I crossed paths at a charity event 3 months later. He shook my hand, asked how I was doing, and said, "I hope things are better now." Getting there, I told him, "Good. You deserve that." Amanda did not get the promotion that quarter. She was disappointed, but not destroyed. She worked harder not to prove something to others, but to rebuild trust with her team and her boss. 6 months later, she earned it. When she told me, I took her out to dinner, and we celebrated. But this time, when she talked about her success, she included me in the story. "I could not have done this without you," she said. And this time I believed she meant it. We are still together. It has been a year since that night. We are not the same couple we were before, but maybe that is okay. Maybe we needed to break a little to understand what we were risking. I learned to set boundaries, to speak up when something bothered me, instead of swallowing it down. Amanda learned that success means nothing if you lose yourself and the people you love in the pursuit of it. I still work construction sites. I still come home with dust on my boots. But now, when Amanda looks at me, I see pride instead of apology. And when I look at myself, I see a man who knows his worth, who walked away with dignity when he needed to, and who chose to come back on his own terms. Richard was right. True strength is not about dominance or volume. It is about knowing who you are and refusing to let anyone, even someone you love, make you forget it. Masculinity is not about fitting into someone else's definition. It is not about being loud or aggressive or proving yourself in every room. It is about integrity. It is about treating people with respect and demanding that same respect in return. It is about building things that matter and standing firm when the ground shakes beneath you. That night at the gala, I could have yelled. I could have made a scene. I could have tried to hurt Amanda the way she hurt me. Instead, I walked away with my head high. And the people who mattered, the ones worth impressing, saw that strength for exactly what it was. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. And sometimes the people who truly matter will recognize that courage, even when the ones closest to you do not. If there is one thing I learned from all of this, It is that respect starts with respecting yourself first. No job, no title, no amount of money is worth losing that. So here is my question for you. Have you ever had to walk away from someone who made you feel small? How did you find the strength to choose yourself? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear your stories. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss future videos. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Thank you for watching, and remember, you are worth more than anyone's opinion of you. Your value does not decrease based on someone's inability to see it. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, and I will see you in the next one.